In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to scale your wheels. If you remember right, when we made the wheels originally, we made them a 10-inch wheel. It had a 5-inch radius, but it was a 10-inch wheel. The reason we did that is so that once we decided what size our wheels were actually going to be to make our mousetrap car work, we could go ahead and easily scale them. So the first thing I'm going to do is open my wheel drawing. Now, if you created a wheel in the online version of SketchUp, it's going to be here in your choices. However, if you didn't and you uploaded your wheel designs that you had originally done, you're going to find those under the Open menu. You're going to click on Open. You're going to click on My Computer. And then in Google Drive, you're going to navigate and find your wheels. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to select my wheel 3. I kind of think that's a neat design. And I'm going to click on Open. So that is going to open the drawing into SketchUp Online. So the first thing we're going to have to do is to select everything. So I just simply take my selection tool and draw a box around my wheel. And I'm going to scale it. The scale tool is inside of the move tool. So I'm going to click on scale. I'm going to get some handles and I'm going to click at a corner and I'm going to push it in. And this is where you have to know your wheel size. So and right now, you're going to do this twice. You're going to do this for your front wheel. You're going to do this for your back wheel. So I'm going to push that wheel down. My rear wheel size was 5 inches. I had a 3/16 inch axle with a 5-inch wheel. That's what I felt was going to make my car work the best. So if you have a 10-inch wheel and you scale it to 0.5, that will make it a 5-inch wheel. If you scale it to 0.4, it'll make it a 4-inch wheel. If you scale it to 0.6, it'll make it a 6-inch wheel. And that is why we did the wheels as 10-inch wheels to begin with. So I click a corner, I move down, I type 0.5, and I press return. Next thing I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and deselect everything just by clicking outside of it. I'm going to zoom into the hub part of my wheel, and I need to make an axle hole. So I get my circle tool, I find the center of the wheel. Now that might be difficult at first, but if you hover around the outside, it is kind of recording the center of all of these points as I go around here. And now when I go to the middle, it finds the center. And again, be careful, don't forget, stay on axis when you're drawing these circles. So I click in the middle, I move out, I type in 3/30 seconds, which again was the radius of my axle. My axle was 3/16, but that's diameter. So my radius is 3/30 seconds. So I type in 3/30 seconds and press return. That makes the circle. But now I need to make it a hole. To make it a hole, I click on the surface and I press delete. That is now the axle hole. So now I've got a wheel. If I measure it, you will see that it is 5 inches from one side to the other. If I measure my axle hole, it measures 3/16 diameter. And now the final thing I have to do is I'm going to orbit the wheel a little bit. I'm going to move in. I'm going to get my push-pull tool to click on the surface and move out. All the wheels on your car are made of material that is 0.25 of an inch or a 1/4 inch thick. So I'm going to type in 0.25, press return, and then I'm going to orbit around. Now, orbit tool's down here at the bottom. Okay, if you haven't been able to find that, you're going to orbit around, and there's your wheel. So I'm going to click Save. This one's actually going to save it in my SketchUp Online project. And I'm going to name it down here Wheel-5. And what that means is that's my wheel. It's a 5-inch wheel. And I click Save here. Now that it's saved, I'm going to go back into my main menu, and I am going to go and I'm going to open the original wheel again. You cannot scale a scaled wheel. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to go back into my Google Drive. I'm going to open up wheel 3 again. I'm going to open it. And now I'm back to, if I were to measure this, you'll see that I'm back to a 10-inch wheel because I scaled it, but I saved it as something else, put it somewhere else, so it didn't affect this. Okay, this file was never actually saved after the scale. I created a new file when I saved it last time. I do this because I want this, I have to now rescale this wheel to be the size of my front wheel. So I repeat the process. I select the wheel, I get my scale tool, I scale it from a corner, and my front wheels were supposed to be 4 inches, so I scale it to 0.4. Okay. Get my circle tool, find the center point of my wheel, which is doing all kinds of wacky things right now. So I'm going to go around the outside edge. I'm not going to let it find the center of the wheel. Draw a circle that has a radius of 3 seconds. Now yours may be different. It's your axle size. Whatever your axle size was is what you're drawing these as. So if you had a 1/4 inch axle, you're drawing a 1/4 inch axle hole. And again, that would be a 1/4 inch diameter, which means you would type in 1/8 for your radius, so on and so forth. So I type in 3 seconds and press return. I select that circle and I delete it. That actually makes the hole. And then I select the wheel. I pull it out 0.25, which is 1/4 of an inch. And then I come up here and I save this. And this time I'm going to call it wheel-4. Up here you can see I have a wheel-5, that's a 5-inch wheel. Now I'm going to have a wheel-4, that's going to be a 4-inch wheel. And now I'm done scaling that wheel, and I go back to my main drawings here. So that concludes how to scale your wheels.